In this series, we're going to take a look at some of the best apps for photo editing. We're going to start by talking about an app that's part of the Enlight Creative Bundle, and that's Photofox. Enlight is from the same company that brought us Facetune, QuickShot, Pixaloop, and Boosted. Now, in this particular version of Photofox that I'm going to be talking about, it's only available on iOS devices. But it is a great option if you want to add a lot more creativity to your photos. I'm currently using this app on my iPhone, and this is the free version of the app. So as you can see, I'm prompted with some subscription prices. I'm still going to walk through and show you what options we have using this app for free. I'm going to start by heading up to my QuickArt, and as I scroll, you can see that there are a lot of provided templates. I'm going to scroll back up, and I'm going to select the first one, dispersion. You can see that there's an animation illustrating what this effect is going to do. I'm going to go ahead and select Start Now and head over to the stock images. In this search bar, you can really type for anything. Like, let's type tree. You see that there are a lot of different options. Now dog. And let's even search for a scene, like a meeting. See, there are a lot of different options that we can choose from, but I'm actually going to search again for man. I'm going to look for one that I think's the best. Okay, I found one. So I'm going to go ahead and select. And as you can already see, the effect's been applied once the processing of the image is done. I could use this circle to move around the direction that the shards are going in. I can also press down on the photo to see the original. Once I release, I once again have visual of my effect. I'm going to head down to our options and start playing around with the shards. I'm going to select, and now you see that I have a lot of different choices when it comes to the shard shape. I really like this one, so I'm going to select it. I can always change the amount of shard by just using the slider. I can even change the randomization by tapping twice on the shape that I select. Let's go back and see what other options we have. I can go ahead and flip where my shards project from by just selecting the flip option. I can even get into more detail by telling Photofox what areas I don't really want it to distort by selecting eraser. Think of any time that you see the eraser in this app. It's almost like applying a mask. I'm going to go ahead and unmask this portion of his body. Now when I hit back, you can see that wherever I move the shards, they're not going to have an effect on that portion of his body. I'm going to be fully transparent. To save this photo at high res, you're going to need a subscription. But for demo purposes, I'm once again only using the free version of this app. So I'm unable to download a high-res photo. So I'm going to head back to the home page. And yes, I do want to save. and you could see that my project's right there for access. Next, I want to take a look at the Readymades. This is where you could get really creative with Photofox. I want to stress that I am using the free version of this app. So if you're thinking about doing the same thing and just demoing this app, it's a good opportunity to see what's offered within it. You can have a lot of creative templates once you get started. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the first one. And as you can see that in the top right-hand corner, I have squares that look kind of similar to layers. To shut the layers off, all I need to do is tap. And now they're gone. But you are primarily going to work within these layers. The blue layer is the selected editable layer. You can always change the layer order by holding and dragging. If you wanted to add another layer, you can just head up to the top corner and tap on the plus sign. You have a prompt on which asset you want to add. I'm just going to select image for now. I also receive a prompt that I'm only allowed 3 layers under the free version. So I'm going to head back and I'm going to delete one of these layers. I don't want to use the statue, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hold and then drag to the trash can. I'm then going to search their images. So let's look for a flower. I like this one, so I'm going to select. And let's see how creative we can really get in this app. Okay, so we've kind of run into a little issue. I have this black background around this flower, but I want to show off all the elements that are within this template. I can always move the text to the front, but then I'm really not seeing the background. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the eraser in the corner. I have a few options. I can start to manually go in and remove the background by moving my finger back and forth. But then once I get into these smaller areas, it's going to be really difficult to use with just my finger. This option might be a little bit easier if you're working with an iPad with a pencil. There are other options that Photofox provides. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit undo. And let's start with the far right, the cutout. You can see that there's a lot of different shapes being provided as mask options. I'm going to find one that I like. And select. But you see, it only had an effect on the foreground and not the background. I'm going to go ahead and hit invert so our image can be used in the masking. This is a nice image to clean up, but I want to get rid of the black around the flower completely. I'm going to hit undo to go back to the original. I'm going to select auto and watch what happens. My background is completely masked out and my foreground is now isolated. I'm holding down on the phone to see the original. I'm going to tap on the eraser again to exit out of the masking mode. As you can see, the image is selected by being blue. So we're going to go change the positioning of this image. I can resize by using my 2 fingers and expanding, or I could change the rotation by turning my fingers. Let's take a look at some of the other features that are available on the free version of this app. we can go ahead and take a look at some of the filters that they have to offer. And we could change the strength of the filter. We can do basic color correcting. I can go ahead and add a manual handwriting. Obviously, this is a better option if I'm working on an iPad and I had a pencil instead of my fingers. There are options for different blending modes that are a nice feature. We can change the transformation, change the flip and rotation by once again placing our two fingers on the screen and turning. And there are a lot of effects that we can go through. I'm going to select a light overlay. And I could change the positioning, the strength, and even the hue of the light. You can add a vignette, and once again, change the scaling, the positioning, and the strength. Last, let's take a look on how we can edit the text. I'm going to make sure that the layer is selected and tap on Edit. I could then change the text to what I want to. I can go ahead and change the font, and as you can see, there are a lot of different choices that I have to choose from. I could change the color, as well as add a stroke. And from there, I could change the width of the stroke as well. I'm going to look at adding a drop shadow. I could change the strength, the direction, and even add a blur. I could adjust the spacing of the text, and even change the blending mode. There is really so much that this app offers. I'm going to head back to the home page, and as you can see, I now have my project. I'm going to tap on See All, then tap on the three circles. I can then rename my project. There is really so much creatively that you can do in Enlight's Photofox app.